So welcome to my home garden. Today I'm going to be doing a harvest of what I've got in my back garden at the moment. So if you've not already subscribed to my channel, if you could please do so, because you'll get lots of helpful hints and tips all throughout the year from my home garden, my allotment and also my home kitchen. Now, first of all, I'm sure you've all got lots of lovely things in your garden, so I'd love to hear what you're harvesting at the moment, but I'm going to go through the things that I'm harvesting today. So I've already cut off a couple of cucumbers. Now these are the lunchbox varieties. Now they really grow really quickly. They're a bit like courgettes. One minute they're quite small and the next minute they grow really quickly, so you must keep an eye on these. So these are actually probably about double the size they should be. As you can see, the cucumbers are doing really well here. They're still looking really healthy, and actually sometimes this time of year they are starting to look a little bit tatty, but I've got some more on there. In fact, there's one just there. I missed that one. That's another thing, have a really good look because they camouflage themselves into the leaves. So this one's got a bit of an unusual shape, but these lunchbox varieties, I've got to say, are absolutely fantastic. I really recommend them. You can't have too many because you can always share them with friends or family. I've got loads of lovely other small ones on it, and indeed another one there. Honestly, I don't know where they're coming from, but it's absolutely fantastic. So these lunchbox varieties I found are more prolific than anything else, and the really nice thing about these is they've got soft skins just like the ones you get in the supermarket, so you don't have to cut the skin off. I always think it's a really terrible waste when you grow something and then you have to throw half of it away, but they really are really lovely, really lovely, so I definitely recommend those. So as we move around, I've got an absolute fantastic selection of chilies here and peppers. Now I'm not going to harvest all these off today. You can obviously eat your chilies when they haven't ripened up, but I have got a lovely ripe one there which I'm going to cut off. So this is a milder type of chilli. This is a banana chilli, but I've also got the alpachi, which are very fiery hot. I've also got some peppers growing there, but they're not ready to harvest yet. In fact, they seem a little bit slow to the party, the peppers. Oh, there is one there. Look, there we go. So they are coming along, the sweet peppers, but just not anywhere near as quickly as the chilies are. So I'm only going to harvest one of those today. But if I wanted more chilies, I could just cut more off, but generally I leave most of them on there to ripen and I cut more off when they're red. But if I desperately wanted one for the pot and it wasn't ripe, you could just take one off if you wanted to. Now this, the cucumbers over here, I don't know if you've ever grown these before, but these are working incredibly well for me. By far the best way to grow cucumbers is I've got like some kind of like metal. There's actually an old bit of shelving from an old greenhouse that I don't use anymore, because they trail really well, so you need something for it to trail on if you do grow these yourself. But these are, they look like little miniature melons, but they taste like citrusy cucumbers. Now they are really quite lovely, and when you first look at this you think, oh, there aren't many there, but then when you lift something up you find loads hiding underneath. So I have absolutely copious amounts of these lovely little cucumbers, probably more than I could eat, so no doubt some of my friends and family are going to get these. This is also another really easy vegetable to grow. Obviously it's too late to be sowing any of these now, but these are things that you think about for next year and you start sourcing your seeds now, so that you can, be planning for next year. Write a list. If you're not a regular grower and you've only just started this, I would start thinking of things that you like to eat. You never grow anything that you don't eat yourself, or not at least prepared to try. Because one thing I will say is when you become a gardener and you start growing your own fruit and vegetables, you have a new appreciation for food, and you will often try things and start to like things or appreciate things that grow a little bit easier, and you might favour those, and then work on the other things that are a little bit more difficult to grow as time goes on. And with that in mind, aubergines. Now aubergines is something that I completely love, but I've never really done that well with them, and I've almost conceded to the fact that maybe they weren't meant to be grown in this country. But you could be mistaken for thinking that at the bottom of my garden we could be in the Mediterranean, because the aubergines I've grown this year are head and shoulders above anything else I've ever grown. I will be doing a separate video on that, on how I've got them to grow so well. But what I would say is never give up on growing something that you really want to. If someone else is growing it in the UK, then you can do it too. And that's why I'm growing aubergines better, because I spoke to someone else who knew. So let's have a quick look here, and I think you'll agree the size of that aubergine is absolutely fantastic. And as you can see, there's absolutely loads of them on all of the plants here. If you want to take a look here, I'm gonna probably harvest 3 of the biggest ones today. But yeah, they are, we've got another quite large one down here. Utterly fantastic. And one thing you'll notice is they are a lot shinier and firmer and nicer than the ones you get in the shops. I'm actually ridiculously impressed with these. I think they're F1 Scorpion, I think. Absolutely fantastic. Can't recommend those enough. And then we come on to the tomatoes again. You know, despite the dry weather, and it has been incredibly dry here in Kent, my tomatoes are doing absolutely fantastically, absolutely amazingly. I can't, if I'm honest, when the dry weather came, I thought that we were in trouble really, and things weren't going to do so well. And I don't water every day. Obviously that would be different if your tomatoes were in pots. You would obviously have to water them at least once a day, and when it's really dry, sometimes 2 or 3 times, which is why I favour growing things in the ground if you can. Obviously if you've not got ground space, you've got no choice. But as you can see, my harvest here on my tomatoes is absolutely fantastic. I'm going to be out here picking these for quite some time, you know, and there's a lot here, so obviously I'll be sharing some with some friends and family. I'm visiting a friend in Hereford. Shortly I'll be taking her some lovely vegetables, but what I will do with the majority of these is I will make these into a passata, which I do year in, year out. It's utterly fantastic. It comes from an old River Cottage recipe that I've got, and we will put a link in the description if you haven't got a sauce to make. But the really good thing about doing that, it's a really good way of storing it, because when you cook down quite a few kilos, and it condenses it down, so it takes up a lot less space in your freezer. Whereas if you just chopped them up and put them in your freezer would be full in no time. But if you cook and make the tomato sauce and just freeze it in little trays, then you've got it for months to come. And I think it was only about a month or so ago I used my last bit of passata rather than having to buy it, so it's well worth the time of doing it, and it is a ridiculously simple recipe. So I've also still got a little bit of rocket in the garden, and I've also got lots of basil. In my summer house I've got some herbs just around here, which I definitely need to harvest those, because they're you know, people don't think you need to harvest herbs, but actually it's good. As you can see, if we come through, we've got some long basil shoots that are coming out, so you do need to nip the tops out, because you want to encourage it to stay bushy, so you've got plenty of basil for you know, for quite some time. This will normally last until we start to get some frost, and this will be perfectly okay. I've also got some herbs here and in the front garden, and they're all doing really well. It has been a challenge with the dry weather that we've had, but you just have to keep an eye on everything and water it every few days. Let me grab my basket. My beans, if we go down to those, I've got a lot of beans coming, but not any only a couple to harvest today. But the really good thing with these, if I'm honest, when I have been initially harvesting these, they've not been doing terribly well, when it would have been really easy for me just to have given up. I see people do it, they think something's not doing very well, so they just give up on it and they just pull it up. Now I just fed these really well with a good multi-purpose feed, and now I've got loads of bloom on here, loads of small beans, and even I'm surprised how well my beans are doing. So in a couple of weeks I think I'm going to be absolutely inundated with beans, which is absolutely fantastic. So definitely, if your crops aren't producing quite what you think they should be producing, don't just give up on them, because at the end of the day you can't plant anything else now, or you can plant a few things, but you're you know, it's getting limited, so you're better off trying to work with what you've got, and you might be very pleasantly surprised how much you get. And let's just see if this is not quite a harvest, but we never know, the chickens might have given us a few eggs this morning. Yeah, there we go. Let's grab a couple. We've got a chicken in their lane at the moment, so yeah, we've even got some eggs to collect today. So I hope you've enjoyed my harvest. I'd love to know what you're harvesting at the moment, any successes you're having, or anything you're having trouble with, and we'll do our best to help you.